business challenges as seen by the Indian CEOs today. And I'll share some data around that. So we have leadership one side, attributes on the other side, leadership attribute, culture, leadership attributes, business challenges. And therefore, what are the competencies and skills that are needed by Indian leaders? And again, data backed, I'll share that. Then to create those competencies and skills, what is the leadership strategy what are salient features of leadership strategy that companies are adopting? So I'm going to share that. How do companies assess top leaders and develop top leaders? How do companies identify through assessment high potentials, and how do companies, after identifying high potentials, develop high potentials? And then finally, the last slide, one slide, which puts all that together, is what I'm going to share. Before I go in there, I wanted to just spend a minute on the two researches that I'm referring to here, the primary researches. Secondary research I'll mention separately. The first one is Aon Hewitt Top Company for Leaders study. We have been doing this study for 13 years across the globe, across Asia Pacific, and in India. So for 13, we have longitudinal data of 13 years, so there is a lot of insights that we are able to develop on that. This study, you all can participate in. We launched this study day before yesterday in Delhi. You all can participate in this study. If you want to know how to create a very robust leadership pipeline and very robust leadership, effective leadership at the top, then you can participate in this study. And you will be able to benchmark your practices with best companies in the country. You will be able to see which are practices you are good at, which are the practices you need to improve upon, whether it is succession, whether it is high potential identification, whether it is development, whether it is on diversity in leadership team, innovation, and so on and so forth. So this study, in this study with each organization that participates, we will go to human resource head, we will go to some of the business leaders and CEOs. We will be meeting each of these three entities, very robust study. The second study that we are also launching now, and which we launched day before yesterday, is called Best Employer Study. And this looks at not only leadership practices, but all HR practices, from recruitment to compensation, rewards, recognition, all HR practices. And then if you want to create a highly engaged workforce, and what are the inputs you get inputs from here. We are launched both of these studies, and there are some flyers that are there in the material that you've got also on your table. So I would urge all of you to participate in those, so that the next time we come back we have richer data, we have newer data, and then we can throw back newer things at you. I was discussing with all the panelists just before we came in here, and we said, India is so many countries. We are one country, 6 religions, 7 union territories, 28 states, 22 official languages, and 4,000 years of history. It's not one country, it's like, many countries put together. And therefore, there are a huge amount of complexities that exist in India. And therefore, it becomes very important to say what distills out, and what is that common thing from a leadership perspective that binds us together. First thing, as I promised to you, is what we looked at was Hofstede cultural dimensions. And there are, according to Hofstede, 6 dimensions of culture. Power distance, which means some societies are more unequal than others. So are we very equal amongst ourselves, or are we, do we have distance between us? Individualism. Strength of ties people have to others in the community. Are we individualistic? We want stuff for ourselves? Or do we want the community to grow? And where are we on that spectrum? Masculinity is, there is masculine and feminine that you will see when I show the data to you. But what it means is, are you very competitive, which means very directive, and you're sure this is the way to go? Or do you build consensus? Moving forward, societies, tolerance, uncertainty avoidance. How much of uncertainty you want to avoid? And that really shows the tolerance for ambiguity. And finally, long-term orientation versus short-term orientation. Choices of focus for society's effort. Do you have a long memory? Do you remember? keep remembering that there was a partition that happened, or you've just gotten over it. So what is a long memory? And when you are looking at future, are you looking at tomorrow and the next quarter, or are you looking at 5 years from now? So that those are 5 dimensions. And I wanted to talk about these 5 dimensions. Therefore, what I did was I just had 500 countries in this research. So what I thought was, let me take China, let me take US, and we are somewhere stuck in the middle. So let's take those 3, India, China, and stuck in the middle reminds me, I was at IIM Ahmedabad, and we had some very witty professors, and one of them was pretty upset with all the analysis that we had done. He said, this is rubbish. And so he said, you know what, IIM Ahmedabad in Vastrapur. Ahmedabad is, on one side is blind school, and the other side is physically handicapped people. So he said, you know what, on one side of our institute are blind people, on the other side are lame, and we are somewhere in the middle. One-eyed students and who can't walk properly, that's what he meant. But India is in the middle of China, USA from geography perspective, so I thought let's take those examples. The first one is long and short-term orientation. And if you see, the yellow one, US, is very high. US is, no, this is, the first one is China. So China is looking at a very high number. They couldn't have scored more than 120, and they are at 180. So they're looking at very, very long term. Anything that you do, and it rhymes very well. My Chinese colleagues are always planning. You tell them something to do, which needs to be done in 2 months, for a month they will be planning, and then they will get into that. So there is that long-term orientation. If you look at US, it's 29. So it's quarter-on-quarter profit. You need to deliver results and all of that. But somewhere we are in the middle of it. There is a balance that we do between short and long term. On masculinity and femininity, while there is a bunching, China is a masculine society relatively, and so is US, and we are less than that. And what that means really is, if it was, the score was about 100, then we may have been very competitive. We are not that directive. We are between competitive and consensus. We are somewhere in the middle. We will take one or the other depending on the situation. Individual versus collectivism. China is very, very collective, right? You can see the score 20. It could have been 120. If you look at US, it's at 90, which is completely individual. And again, emphasis is on collective in India, much less than the halfway point, 60. So there is emphasis on collectivism. And therefore, people are more motivated not by monetary rewards, they are motivated more by intrinsic rewards. This is borne out by our best employer research, which shows that though people are not happy with the compensation, it doesn't impact engagement too much. So can you work on intrinsic motivation, and that becomes very important. And so that's the Indian culture. And then uncertainty avoidance, we are pretty low on that. China is even more than that, but we are also pretty low on that. And therefore, we will accept ambiguity. And power distance, there are strong hierarchies. So we are pretty high on power distance. If you looked at Japan, the score would be at what range? Any thoughts? Japan power distance will be close to? Yeah, so 95. That is the highest in the world, is Japan. So very hierarchical. So given this, just to reiterate, balance between short and long term, balance between competitive and consensus, intrinsic rewards, acceptance of ambiguity and hierarchy. That's the summary. If we look at, then I went into another research, which is a globe, which was done in University of Pennsylvania. And they said there are 6 aspects of leadership, 6 dimensions. And let's look at where is India on that. And when we look at charismatic leadership, we're pretty high on that. So we look at inspire and to motivate. So that's what our leaders, effective leaders will be inspiring, will be motivating. Those kind of leaders are there. Team oriented, again pretty high on that, which means effective team management, team building is the measure of an effective leader. Humane, yes, a little on the lower side than the rest, but still supportive and considerate leadership. Participative also will involve others, but not much autonomous, so will not go off on his or her own, and not too much of self-protective. So those are the traits of Indian leaders as borne out by this research. Unfortunately, these researches I'm referring to are Western researches, but I'll come to India data soon. As I said, culture, leadership attributes, and then I will come to business challenges. What I did was looked at now we are starting with top company for leaders data. So I looked at CEOs, global CEOs, all the world together, and Indian CEOs. What are they saying are the top business challenges? And these are in this order. Top three are same. If you look at the top three business challenges, it is about business growth, there or here. It is about margin pressures, there or here. It is about product and service innovation, there or here. But keep in mind, innovation is an important aspect from business challenge point of view. As we go along, we'll see whether it is showing itself as required leadership competencies or not, and skills or not. And interestingly, the number 5 business challenge, it's not, we didn't ask them about HR challenge, we asked them about business challenge. Number 5 business challenge is employee engagement. So Indian leaders are realizing, and probably it's also because of the culture we have, that which requires that humane touch, and therefore employee engagement is on the CEO agenda. So therefore keep in mind that when we talk about leadership competencies. So I'll move now to the third part and move to competencies first before skills. And in the competencies, given the growth expectations from India, the leaders are expected to have future view and strategic traction, which the global leaders may not be required to have to that extent. So global leaders instead are, because the growth opportunities aren't that high, they are expected to focus on results. Can you get the results here and now? Quarter on quarter, and even that's even to an extent the America is. So deliver results, build teams, manage lead change, ensure accountability, and help people manage careers. How we are different? The dark ones that you see is the difference. The light ones are common. Deliver results, manage lead change. Those are common. The dark ones are different. So if you look at India, the future view and strategic traction are the two primary ones. So again, because we're going to grow, what is expected from leaders is take that long-term view. And therefore, where are we going to grow from? So that is the leadership competency. And what I wanted to do also, what we had asked our clients, and this is now HR had responded to us. Which competencies occur in your competency model? We had some 25 competencies, some 30 competencies. Most often used competencies I have listed here, 10 of these. And so going from point of view about future to help people manage career. These are 10 competencies that are required by, as said by HR, most. Now HR is also working on some of these competencies. We asked them, where is your organization developing these fundamental competencies on a scale? And we then said, from a reducing 4.75 to 4.5 and downwards on a scale of 5, how well are we doing on this? What came out was that on deliver results, there isn't that focus. It is an important competency, but it is not being built. HR departments are not looking at growing those competencies, though it is second most important competency. Similarly, create aligned direction and managing careers. Managing careers is very important from employee point of view. According to our best employer research, it is the most important engagement factor, careers. But we are not building the competence. It is very important, but it doesn't show on this one, which means it is not something HR is working on. So organization is not focusing on deliver result, creating aligned direction and careers. I come to skills. And in skills, what comes out is that in the world, these are the competencies that, these are the skills that HR wants in their leaders. And in India, these are the ones. The difference is only in global business experience versus vision and strategic thinking. So again, vision and strategic thinking is coming as a theme and very important aspect. So India is not looking to provide exposure. Whatever statements are put in red, I have put to say, we are not doing it, we need to do it. And those statements are made in black are, yeah, we are doing it and that's the way India is. So ethical standards is a standard and practice which is not in the top 10 skill requirements in Indian companies at all. And given the kind of context, we've had 2G scam and we've had coal and all of that, we need to be worried about this. And so I would say we need to have this kind of a skill also coming, how to create ethical standards and practice in our organization. That's an important skill for leaders to have. It's currently missing from the horizon. Again, I wanted to look at skills which are the important skills on this side. And is HR working on those skills on this side? HR is not working on innovation and is not working on outstanding customer relationships. It is second and third most important skill. But human resource is not working on that. So therefore, in summary, what have I said so far? Because I know there is a lot of data I've shared. In summary, what I've said so far is, culture is short and long-term balance, comparative and consensus balance, work for intrinsic rewards rather than monetary, acceptance of ambiguity, and strong hierarchies. That's the culture. Leadership dimensions which define Indian leaders, that's how we are built because of our childhood, because of our background. Inspire and motivate, team orientation. These are the leaders who will be successful. I'm not saying these are the leaders India has, but these are the leaders who will be successful given the culture. Inspire and motivate, team oriented, participative and humane. So these are the leadership dimensions. And therefore competencies, and I've used a little bit of liberty here, I've put some competencies together. Participative, those leaders who are participative and inclusive will be successful. When they are creating a strategy, have they taken inputs from the last person standing? Inclusive, So, participative and inclusive, future focused, 3 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out. Or are we business creating a sustainable business? That's what Tatas do, right? Very successfully. Lead and manage change, because this now where we've reached in our state of economy, the globally as well as in India, is a lot of change situation. Lead and manage change. Build teams, because individual brilliance can't do enough, and also because people want intrinsic rewards. Humane is the way to be successful. Team orientation, so therefore team building becomes important. And deliver results is again something that is important competency. I put a cross there because as I showed you in the earlier slide, that's not something that is being focused on. So watch out for it. Skills, visionary, innovation, customer relationship, attract and develop next generation leaders, and ethical standards and practices, the one that was missing. The crosses I've put are, again, I should have put a cross on ethical standards and practices also. But innovation, customer relationship, and ethical standards is something that we are not currently creating and we need to focus more on. But this is the India way that I am proposing, basis the research, both primary and secondary that I've done. Having said this, as I said, I'll talk about the competencies and skills, but I'll also talk about leadership strategy, assessment, and development. So I now come to the second part of the presentation, where I'm talking about top leadership strategy priorities. And the difference is, while there are three which is common, Globe is focusing on succession, we are also focusing on succession. Globe is focusing on leadership strategy, we are also doing that. Strengthening leadership competencies in senior leaders, very important, we are also doing that. However, retaining top talent and recruiting top talent is the issue there. Here the issue is high potential identification. Probably we are in a state before developed economies, where they have done this piece, and therefore they are focusing more on retaining those people. We need to define that system process. And diversity, we are saying, is a very important aspect for us. In the next slide you will see we are not doing much about it. But diversity, as told to us by HR people across 100 companies that we did this, diversity is an important part of leadership strategy. Are we having diversity? Wipro is doing that, HUL is doing that, are we doing that? So, I go to the next one. Also within a leadership strategy, we also asked, how do you measure success of leadership strategy? How do you measure that? So we were told, across the globe, and we are pretty much similar, and which is that we look at promotion rate of hypo, high potential turnover, performance rating, percentage of hypos placed in senior management, and percentage of hypos who move into critical success. Globe looks at diversity of high potential pool. The most commonly used is percentage of women leaders. But it could also be engineers versus non-engineers. For us, it could be South Indians, and do we have preponderance of them, or we have, Gujaratis or whatever. Whichever way we define diversity. In India, that is not a metric that is being measured by CEOs or HR. And we need to do that. We need to take cognizance of that. We move to high potential. So leadership strategy I'm done with. Now I'm coming to high potential assessment and development. So high potential identification process, we asked how are you doing it? It is being done basis performance rating, which is important, and then few other things, including 360, which is again very high preponderance of using 360, so that you can measure your competencies of your organization, and also other competency-based assessment. So mix of performance and competency-based assessment is what India is doing. And